we are doing some streamlining with Power BI and PowerShell. Just to get a feeling of the room, how many of you are working with Power BI? Yeah, and how many of you are working with PowerShell? Yeah, it's a good mix. Cool, great. So we're just gonna start this off. My name is Linda Torong. I'm from Sweden, and I work mostly with building analytical solutions of different sorts, a lot of notebooks, a lot of Spark compute and things, and a lot of Power BI. I don't do PowerShell. But yeah, and with me today we have my colleague.
Yeah, so I'm Sander. We both work at Data Masterminds, and I'm from the Netherlands. I'm also a Microsoft MVP, and just I do nothing with Power BI. I actually had to learn Power BI, all that kind of stuff. I'm really not familiar with it, but I know PowerShell, and I could do a whole bunch of cool stuff with that. So yeah, so we decided maybe we can optimize how we handle Power BI with PowerShell a little better.
Yeah. We just had a chat, and a lot of times we do consultancy, and when we go to clients, they often want a very fast overview of their Power BI environment. How many workspaces do we have? How many reports? Do we have unused licenses? Whatever. And this task for an admin can be quite many clicks, and it's not really that straightforward. We do have some pre-made reports from Microsoft, and they help a bit, but they doesn't always go the extra mile or really give us what we want. So when I tried to describe this to Sander, he said, oh, we could do better than that, and we tried to actually do better than that.
Yep.
And for some very specific reasons. As always, we want to save time and definitely headaches and energy, and that in turn will save costs for our company, and everyone will be more happy.
I hate doing things twice. I hate clicking.
Yeah, so we're going to show you, we're going to start off lightly, show you what's out there, what's possible today, and what we try to add on to it and give more value. And we're doing this, we're going to mention this several times, open source. So whatever ideas you have to bring to us, we will gladly add on to this and keep on building.
Sure.
Yeah.
So let's go into the demos, because that's my part, right? I love doing demos. So one of the things I first want to show you is we created a PowerShell module for you to use. So it's open source, like Linda mentioned. It's called PSP Power BI Tools. It's going to stay open source as well. It doesn't have a lot of commands yet right now, but if you want, create an issue, and we'll try to include that as well. It's on the PowerShell gallery, so just install it from there, and go ahead and have fun with it. So there's actually two modules that we can use to manage Power BI. First one is from Microsoft itself, and it's kind of like a wrapper around their API. It's called the Microsoft Power BI MGMT management module. And you have to connect using a Power BI service account, and then you can get a workspace. And let me show you how that works. I'm actually already logged in, I think. Yeah. So these are my workspaces that I can get from the API. It's, like I said, just a wrapper around the API itself. But I can also do stuff with the organization way of doing stuff, because by default, it just shows you the workspaces or anything you're allowed to do with, you have access to. But if I do anything with the organization, and let me do this a little different. because instead of format table, I'm going to do something that you can actually view. I'm going to do an out grid view and make it a little bigger. So this is all the information we get from a workspace. We can get the ID, the name, the capacity ID, all kinds of information from it. Really valuable. If you do PowerShell, this is really handy stuff to do. If we want to do anything with the orphaned, does anybody know what an orphaned workspace is? Yeah?
Yeah, to be clear, an orphaned workspace is one that doesn't have an owner or an admin, I think, attached to it.
Yeah.
And for governance purposes, it is always good to actually have an owner to workspaces, so someone is owning it and all.
So let me show you how that looks like. So if I do, and I shouldn't type in demos, but I created this stuff for you to use in your own environment. By the way, you can download these demos from my GitHub repo. I'll show you the link later on. And you can play around with all these demos as well. It's free to use. So if I do an grid view, I can also get which is actually orphaned. And we see that there's actually an orphaned workspace down here.
So can we do something about that if we know which workspaces are orphaned?
Yeah. So the thing you need to do is you need to assign an admin to it. So we can get all the workspaces and then get all the users. So if we get, well, we'll wait for that later on because I'm going to show that later on. When I go in, now we're going to do something else. We're going to use our module that we installed. I already installed it, so I don't have to run this code. But I'm going to connect to Power BI. And I think I'm already connected, yeah. So let's go in. And basically what I did here was
You're gonna need it, yeah.
Yeah. I did the same thing that get Power BI workspace does. Kind of the same thing. But we do some special things in the background to make this look better. So if I go in and get the users, by the way, did anybody notice that there were numbers in there? This is what I was going to show. So instead of all the properties, by default, our commands just count how many reports and everything is in here. My account doesn't really have that many privileges, but normally you would have.
This is not native to Microsoft's own API.
This is our own command. So we do stuff in the background to make things easier. But you may want to do stuff with more detailed information. So let's get the users.
Yeah, but just getting a count, for me, that's like almost a birthday.
Yeah.
Good thing.
So let's show that same thing. Of course, the users are not showing it correctly, but let's do that differently. Let's get the workspace users. And here I go. So I got the workspaces from my command, selected a couple properties, and I just got the users object from here. So I can see which users are actually admin, viewer, or access. So there are multiple viewers and one admin.
In a very nice, neatly overview kind of way. Nice. Liking it.
Finally. Just to make it easier, we could also create a command that you don't have to type all of this, and it does the same thing.
You don't even want to type? You're that lazy? Okay, fine.
I'm really lazy when it comes to these kind of things. And again, this just shows you, this command just shows you the name itself. And again, if you want detailed information, like what's the role or anything like that, you have to use the switch dash detailed to get that other information as well. Let's get some reports. again, I don't have any access to reports, but let's switch back a little and see what Microsoft Power BI management module itself actually has. So if I go in, there's a lot of stuff in there. This is just the module. And if I go in, there's a lot of different sub-modules that they have that you can go in and get the capacities. You can get all kinds of different, even the profile. The profile does only has like the login, Power BI. Don't use the aliases, just use the commandlets.
Why?
Because the alias is just going to go away at some time. So just use the connect Power BI service account or our command like connect PSBI to actually do these kind of things.
Do any of you use one of these? Which one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So probably just the connect and then try to get some information, right? It's we found a couple problems in this module.
Couple.
When we did things, which you will see later on. But again, we can get a lot of information from here, and that way, if we can if we can get the information, we can also set a lot of information. So if I go in, and who has used the Power BI activity events commandlet? Nobody. So the funny thing is with this thing is that it's, again, a wrapper around the API, and the API doesn't allow you to get certain dates of information.
But to describe the activity events, it returns a list of like view reports, who view that report, and different things that has been done through to the sources or the reports or access given, whatever, but you only get the last 24 hours. That's not always that helpful.
That's why it gives this really nice error. I don't know what that means. Just a bad request, right? It's a.
But going in, we didn't know this because that's nowhere in their documentation that it only gives the last 24 hours. So we kind of struggled a bit with what this really bad error was before we actually figured it out.
So to help you out, we created our own event, and you can actually, at max, retrieve the last 30 days from all the activity events, even from the API. So the API doesn't allow you to go beyond the 30 days.
But 30 days is still more than 1 day. So, and if I, as an admin, want to see, like, I don't know, like the last 6 days or something, which report got most hits, I don't know, that could be useful. I might be able to do that in the admin report that Microsoft did. But from here, our purpose is getting action immediately to fix something, not just getting the info in a nice report.
Yeah. So one thing you can you see here, right here, is when I run this, basically what I did was I created a loop and just generated the new dates and got all the results in one go, right? We get a lot more results because I don't want to have, like, if I do any kind of health check for, let's say, and that's one of the new commands that I actually want to develop, is to get like a report usage. If a report isn't used for 30 or more days, then it's probably not going to be valuable, right? So I want to be able to get that information from the last bunch of days and then create something like an overview for you.
And again, you can do that today with other tools, but you cannot do anything about that information. You just get the kind of information that, yeah, these are the reports that no one is using. But taking the next step and actually deleting them is what we're trying to connect here.
Yeah, Yeah, so the question is, how much data does it keep for the API? Yeah, in total. So the API only allows you to get like the last 30 days. I'm not sure what it does in the background. Maybe it does more, but the API only allows you to get the last 30 days. And the command from Microsoft only allows you to get the activity events for that day. Even if you go a millisecond over, it's going to come back with a, hey, it should be within the 30 days. It's actually. Any more questions? Quiet room. So the question is how the authentication works to get this to work, right? We do we have the command that we connect with uses the login Power BI service account in the background. It just does the same thing.
But to get to the whole organization kind of level, and you had to be a Fabric admin to get that sum count of them all. You can get the sum count of yours, but not of the whole organization without being a Fabric admin.
We kind of skip a couple steps to make it easier, like getting all the reports for the organization by default, all these kind of things, because I don't want to see what I can see at that point. I just want to see the entire estate, right? I need to go to that. Yeah. So the question is, can we schedule something that disables all the reports? If you want that, we can certainly build that for you, right? So the API allows you to change anything in any object. Like if the report has a property to be disabled, we can put that in. And then it's really easy to get non-used reports and then pipe that to a command and then set everything right. Has anybody heard about the change in the capacity IDs that you actually, they're going to change the subscriptions?
Last week, they announced that Power BI Premium is going to go away in 2025. And so all of those capacity IDs will need to change to Fabric. And that can be quite cumbersome doing one by one. So I had a question for Sander. Could we automate that? Just like moving all of the workspaces in the wrong capacity ID over to this new capacity ID.
Yeah.
And you didn't make me sad.
No. So we created a command to change the values for a workspace, but we can do the same kind of thing for reports, all these kind of things. So the command that we wrote, and actually the command in the Microsoft Power BI management module, unfortunately doesn't work to do these things. That's why we created our own. And that's called set PSBI workspace. And in this case, I'm going to first show you the name, how it was before. So if I do PSBI workspace, don't type in demos. Let me get the ID as well. So I'm going to get this one to be renamed.
So we're renaming things now? I didn't know that. So I could actually, oh, this took it. I could make a prefix to certain workspaces like dev underscore or prod underscore. Oh, neat.
And you can iterate through it as well. So if you have all the IDs, you can just pipe this through it and then have the new name as well. So if I go in and do the same kind of thing.
Because we all know we want to enforce naming conventions as admins, and users rarely actually follow them. So hijacking.
I first have
would
to
be nice.
change the name, right?
Yeah.
So let's do this again. Don't type in demos. Not good. So. And now my workspace is renamed. It's that easy. Unfortunately, the one in the Microsoft module didn't do this simple thing. Okay, cool, now it does. And we can actually combine, so the API, this API of this command uses a bunch of APIs to get the same result. So for the capacities, you actually have to move it from one to another. For the name, you can just change, you have to use another API, all these kind of things. So we can combine that and make it easier for you to do it in one go. Any questions? Quiet room.
Yeah.
I was expecting to be taking a lot longer than that. Yeah.
But for those of you who have been using these modules, the admin, capacities, data, have you stumbled upon something that you can't do, that you would like that we should build, or are you content with what they are offering at the moment? You shouldn't be.
Do keep in mind the potential, what you can do with this.
Yeah.
If you can do anything with, like the question for the reports, if I have like an unused reports, all that data, or maybe data sources that are never being used, or anything like that, I can get rid of that.
It
Saves
takes
you
up capacity.
a lot of money, a lot of space, a lot of effort
Yeah.
to do these things.
So this could be as a health check, maybe do every 6 months or so, going in and see. And of course, don't delete workspaces or reports before actually talking to someone if there's an owner connected to it. But if you do know and got it verified that they aren't used.
But I'm an admin, I can do anything, right? Yeah. The help. I hope I did a good job with that. So the question is, can I show some help? It's actually funny that you asked that, because I did that for any of the commands in the Microsoft one. You don't get any help. So let me show you. If I do a get help for, let me check which command that is. Let's go into the admin. Let's get all the commands in here. Copy, paste in here. Let's say I want to get the activity events. So, get help. Doesn't show me that much. If I do anything detailed, doesn't show me any examples, no way of. Let's do one that we created, not help. Get PSBI activity events. Same kind of information. But we did have examples. How you can use this. Show window? Yeah, okay.
So we actually wrote documentation to go to this.
So
I'm impressed.
we actually did a good job, right? The funny thing is, the reason he asked is he's one of my coworkers, and we do a lot of PowerShell development. And one of the things that we do is that our checks are really thorough on help or anything like that, or tests that we do. Actually goes through, I think about 2,000 unit tests before it actually does anything, before we deploy it. I actually thought of that command last night, like 2 a.m. So the question was, one of the clients, they didn't know about any reports not being used. So if we get that information, that will be a really cool thing. But I thought of that like at 3 a.m. in the morning. I'm like, am I going to go back to sleep?
You showed previously something about workspaces, and that we could get a list of the workspaces. Can I get a list of the reports connected to that workspace? Or the data source connected to that workspace? Just some kind of lineage or something.
Sure. I kind of already showed that, but...
You did? Sorry, missed that.
I already did that. But if we go to a workspace, let's see if I can get all the workspaces in just a variable. Workspaces, and I want everything detailed because I want all the information in there. If I go into the workspaces, let's say the first one, I can get all, my account doesn't really have that much information, but I can do any of the reports. Let's see if I can get that to work. So which one does that?
Just to mention, as a Power BI person, this kind of view is much better than the PowerShell view for me. Can I extract that and actually show to a client, like this is what you got?
Do you want it as CSV or?
Yeah. Can I export it to Excel? Oh, you hate me now. I know.
Oh, need a path. Of course, we do everything to temp. There we go. And then we can do this. Go and find it. Of course, it doesn't work. But I don't do anything with Excel. Why would I?
Excel is a powerful tool.
It is?
Yeah, you can quote me on that.
Where is it? There it is. Thank you, Claudio. Yeah.
Okay.
I can do all that.
Yeah.
And then you can get more information. Maybe we will even create some kind of health check command if we want to, like, hey, this is wrong, like a pest or test kind of thing.
So that was showing the workspaces, but they were asking about the reports within them.
I hope that my login is going to work. Let me try it. Let's see if I can get that to work. Power. Let me log out. And then, no. Login, Power BI, service account. The thing is, I have an account, and we tried a couple things, and then it screwed a lot of things up. Let's see if this is going to work. Get yeah. Yeah, I thought that. I'm not authorized.
Okay, but if you were authorized, would you be able to see that kind of list then?
Yep.
Okay, so which kind of authorization is it that you're required?
Fabric
admin?
Fabric admin.
And I'm that?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, so you need Fabric admin, but that would work. We have been discussing, when you get to a client, you don't always get the admin access. So building something kind of relevant for non-admins as well, and see how far we can take that. And that, I guess, would be phase 2 of this module.
Any more questions? Run.
The one in the Sorry. The service principle, sorry, the logging in, can you do it with a service principle rather than what you showed right now?
I think you have to go through the service principle.
Actually have to.
Okay.
Because it's you're connecting to the service account, which is in Entra, your service principal. How many do we have?
So you guys are currently using the Power BI module as like a template, right? You're using only the admin REST APIs?
Yeah, only the app.
Yeah,
ones.
So for that next phase you're talking about, are you looking into building a wrapper around the non-admin API? Oh, that would be really cool.
Yep.
Okay, sweet.
Because a lot of us doesn't get the admin role.
Yeah, I've just been building all of that other places, so that would be awesome.
Cool.
Actually the idea, because we want to streamline these things and then make it easier, because we see that with a lot of clients that we want to do any kind of health check, like some information, but we don't get any, right? It doesn't make it any easier that it's just an API to get all that stuff. I think we went too fast.
Yeah, but we have some slides left, so we can go back to the PowerPoint.
Yeah. So let's go back.
There, yeah. Yeah, so what we have been talking about is we're not going to make reports obsolete to get an overview, but we want to have kind of the same overview with this kind of module and then go directly to actions, like remove unused reports, remove unused personal workspaces. People quit, and all of those personal workspaces just remains, and they might not, I don't think they affect the capacity, but they are there making clutter, and we don't like clutter. So just removing those, and data sources, and licenses. We would like to get a list of how many licenses do we have available, how many of those are in use, could we reassign them, or could we remove them, or whatever. Just nice, neat commands to go with this kind of health check overview. That's the plan that we have, at least.
One of the things we could do is like go through your Entra ID and see which users are actually connected to any workspaces, and if it's disabled, then maybe drop the workspace as well. Those kind of things. So there's no, everything is connected in Azure, so if we can get that information from one part and then compare it to another, if you have enough privileges to actually get the Entra IDs, right? So not everybody is able to collect that information from Entra and see which users are disabled, but if you have enough privileges, we could compare the two and then clean out your entire environment.
Something that Sander actually helped me with before was I tried to clean up the accesses to different kind of reports and workspaces and apps. Because a lot of clients make the personal accesses, like they make Sander Stad access to that app. We don't really like that. We want security group to access things, to make it more manageable, and, well, it's neater. So he made that for me to update every night to check Entra, like have people resigned, should they be removed from the security groups, and in turn they won't access the apps or reports. And we also based that out of columns in Entra, where you can assign either geographical facts, like everyone in Sweden should have that kind of security group, everyone in Holland should have that, or maybe a role. Just use Entra a lot more with the information that's there to make the security groups, automate them to refresh every night so that you move people around to the right security groups and have it work for you, so you don't actually have to do all of that work.
Yep.
Yeah, that was very helpful.
It was like 10 minutes of work.
Yeah.
Can we do this?
Yeah, and this is kind of the headlines that we're trying to tackle next. We want to access, as I just mentioned, and the naming conventions. Like, follow the naming conventions, remove or rename the workspaces that aren't correctly named. I guess we could also do this for reports. Yeah, good. Making refreshes, so every kind of data source has a refresh set, so we don't actually have to manually press the refresh. The ownership is about the orphaned. So me as an admin, I don't accept orphaned things. I want everything to have an owner, to know that they're responsible over this, either to keep maintaining it or removing it. And if nothing else, give that ownership to the Fabric admin. So someone has ownership. And the capacity usage is more of, this transferring from premium to Fabric, which we will all inevitably have to do now. And my go-to thing, I want these kind of backups to be made maybe every night or so. And
What kind of backups can you make?
for everything. Because if I did remove a report or a workspace, and then a week later someone comes screaming, "Why did you take this away?" I have somewhere to retrieve it from.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you have anything else that you would like to add to this? Yeah.
There's a microphone coming to you.
Oh yeah, I was just wondering about deployment. Is that something you've thought about, or is it a separate issue not related to this?
We have not.
Like
But
publishing
that's-
reports and things.
That's a good thing. I guess that is also attached to which kind of FSKU you're going to be on, because if you're in need of deployment pipelines, you got to go to F64. But you could do deployments. That's a very good thing.
Deployments with,
Yeah, just releasing things or
I haven't looked into that yet.
moving reports from, let's say, dev workspace to the prod workspace.
There is a copy command for that.
So that could be doable. Good thing. Jess.
The thing I love about this presentation is it just makes me think of like more things we could do with this module. So like two things that came to my head was obviously we know about DBA tools, and then the DBA checks module that goes with it to like run pester tests using DBA tools to make sure things are right. Like what you said about making sure naming conventions, there aren't orphans, like using this module with some pester tests to like check an environment would be super cool. So I can see that as a really good use case. The second thing was for the report usage, we only get 30 days, but using your commands, we could run that as part of like an Azure function or some kind of workflow, stash it in a database, and then make a beautiful Power BI report that shows which reports aren't used. Because you're right, 30 days is really difficult to delete things, because someone who runs a report annually or quarterly or monthly even, we might miss some of that data. So I see some really good use cases for this. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Good job.
We just started with this just as an idea, and then
Yeah.
how far we can go with this, right?
We just hope this is going to make admin tasks in Power BI easier. And if you have any kind of requests and add-ins to it, just contact us or write to us. Any more questions? Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, there is not a real question. You can publish reports with PowerShell. We're doing it now. So it's just about versioning Git and doing in DevOps.
Oh, yeah.
Running PowerShell is not that hard.
Good. It's not that hard. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we don't copy reports from different workspaces. We use Git repos and DevOps to publish
Nice.
them.
Good thing. I like DevOps.
Yeah.
Do it all day long.
Yeah.
Again, how much time do we have? Oh, still.
We have some instances. I'm quite surprised that you haven't stumbled on more things that you don't think that the module from Microsoft really can't achieve, because there's a lot it can do. But yeah.
Again, if you have anything that you want to add, there's an issues. You can just create an issue. It's not an issue, but it's a change that you want. Create as many as you want. We'll figure it out. Yeah.
I guess something that the Power BI API doesn't do is there's some things that the API only allows you to do with push data sets. Like you can only delete rows or get the tables in a group with push data sets, not with like everything. Is that something that your module will be able to do at all?
So you mean you call the API with a push?
Or like if I don't have a push data set, but I still want to know what tables are in my data set.
I guess that's just in the data set itself. So if I go, let me check. So if I have, do I still have my workspaces? Yes, I do. Data. So if I do anything like workspaces, no, I don't have them anymore. Just give me a second. Because now I have to log in. There we go. Let's get the workspaces. Then I can get all the data sets. So let's get what kind of properties are in the data sets. Data sets. Not a comma, so don't type in demos.
I think it's only data sets.
Data sets? No, it's not.
Sorry.
Data sets is no. Should have given me something. Well, we can figure it out in the documentation what is actually being able to set in there. I don't.
Yeah, I think that's
It should still return the object, and then as
should be empty.
what we can add. But we can go through the documentation and probably push these kind of things in there. Yeah. We're actually getting good questions.
So actually, if you guys want to grab table information, you might have to use the API that calls DAX functions and then do a schema on that. And then you can get the table, columns, measures. Because I think that the other way is obviously to go to the tabular object through, the C# commandlets. Exactly. The information DAX functions, all that good stuff. Yeah.
Cool. Well, we're basically just getting started with this whole thing and have seen so many things that is possible to do. So yeah.
Hi. Would you be able to do any data lineage which will be between any two reports? Maybe it's a different use case, but if the same columns is being used between different reports, is there any metadata that you can grab from that API, or
Not sure.
maybe a different use case probably?
I think that information will be in there, right? So what would you want to do? Like compare the two data sets and see if there's multiple columns being
I mean, where is this column data coming from?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think so. As long as it's in the object, I can.
Yeah, that's a good addition. Yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, if you're familiar with PowerShell and all these kind of things in development, you can also clone this, and then make your own command, and then create a PR in this, and then we can get that command in. Same kind of thing like what happens with DBA tools. We'll fork it and then be able to create their own edition as well.
Just another question on this. The API that you're calling, is it reliable on paging? Are you doing any stuff? I can't see that on your logic. If the API returns more data, are you paging it or?
No, we're not paging it.
Not
We
at
just
all.
get everything. We're not paging anything with that result set. I'd rather have like everything and then filter out what I need than filtering it for with some pagination, because that's kind of the thing that with a lot of the APIs do, right? You can paginate everything, because that is used in the in Power BI on the web. They call that, and they use the pagination parameter to make it easier for you to go through all of that stuff. With PowerShell, I don't want that. I want everything, and I'll filter out what I need.
Thank you.
I guess actually something that would be quite nice that I've been trying to get in PowerShell and failing miserably at getting is the Power Query dependencies for tables, because that's a pain. You can get DAX like dependencies through like tabular editor and stuff like that, but I have no idea how on earth to get like Power Query dependencies, and I've been trying to do it with PowerShell and shit, but like, yeah, like I've got a table and it's joined with, you know, this thing, and it's like sources this thing or whatever, and it's like, I want to know if I mess with this table, how's it going to mess with everything else?
This is a very good thing, and yeah, that would be valuable.
I don't know if that's too big though.
Yeah, but I find it very interesting that when we start talking about this, even if you came in here not knowing what you wanted to have, now you started to think in the right way. Like we could build this to be really helpful. And in a year's time, there might be 100 commands that we could use. So, oh yeah. Don't quote me on that.
I'll
no,
talk to the boss and spend more time.
No, but this is only the beginning, and we want to make it more efficient and streamlined for admins, preferably for non-admins as well. And we'll just find out how far we can go with it.
Well,
yeah.
Any more comments, questions? Oh.
Then thank you for listening, and yeah, I hope you can use it if you want. Thank you.